pedals. We on the opposition side propose a countermodel, being that the status quo, where no ban is going to happen on these TV programs and or movies. Instead, we are going to only use age restrictions via organizations or governmental organizations, governmental bodies such as PEGI, etc., to enforce these age restrictions upon these movies, different from what the proposition has given you. Firstly, rebuttals. Towards the proposition side, first of all, just as the proposition can assume that it is not likely for false positives to happen in CJ in the criminal justice system, i.e., a person who is convicted of a crime not doing the crime that they were convicted of, the opposition can on the same level assume that consumers of this product, for i.e., consumers of these programs and movies which portray convicted criminals as being sympathetic, as being, on average, be people of sound mental cognizance and logical rationality. What do we mean by this? What we mean by this is basically the opposition can assume that the people who consume these products are on average people who understand that these are people who understand that these things are wrong but still can sympathize with it, and not people who will enact the same will act upon the same actions as these criminals. Second rebuttal. The point that proposition brought, that people will not trust this criminal justice system, we instead believe otherwise, that people will actually accept the results of the criminal justice system. However, people can also understand the rationality of why the criminal did the things they did. I will expand upon this more in my arguments. Third of all, banning these programs and movies therefore prevents the circulation from ever happening, thus preventing the degradation of moral values, of the societal moral values as proposed by proposition. There is still we argue that there still exists other forms of media not banned, such as news, journals, magazines, etc., that report and make news of regarding these issues. Therefore, people's trust within in the criminal justice system will still be compromised. With or without the TV programs and movies, these other medias are not banned, and the proposition did not did not mention this. Therefore, their point on banning it therefore prevents circulation, therefore preventing the total degradation of societal moral values does not stand. And on these two rebuttals points, even if the trust in the criminal justice system is lowered or compromised, we think that's a good thing. I will be explaining more on this later. Fourth and final rebuttal. We believe that watching these programs will really affect the mindset of someone who's already on that tipping edge of the point, or that tipping point, that edge of wanting to commit a crime, for example, a serious crime such as murder towards someone. Because, let's characterize this a little bit. If you really hate someone to the point of wanting to murder them, you obviously would have some major grievances with that person. Whether or not you watch a movie or you don't watch a movie regarding a supposedly true crime documentary of a criminal who is sympathetic, you will, irregardless of whether you watch or you don't watch, you will still have that urge, that thought, that feeling of wanting to let your anger out on that specific person you have your grievances on. And therefore, we believe that the proposition's argument regarding watching these programs immediately making you want to murder a person, or immediately making a person, the average person, want to enact upon these urges is very inaccurate. Moving on then to my points. First of all, my points in this debate will be twofold. First is regarding how disingenuous it is to the reality of things. Secondly is that how on the criminal justice system. First, we believe that banning programs and movies wherein it tells the truth of this criminal's backstory, i.e. the Gypsy Rose Blanket, i.e. the movie or the series of The Act on HBO, if I'm not wrong, or Hulu, regarding Gypsy Rose Blanchard's motive for murder being her mother's abuse, is considered sympathetic. It undermines the grievances and reasoning of convicted criminals, and it's disingenuous to the real reality of things. Few layers then. First, people obviously have reasons to do the things they do. People don't simply wake up one day and suddenly want to murder someone else. They suddenly have this thought, I'm going to stab this person just for fun. People don't do things like that. The average person don't do things like that. The average person usually have a line of thought, a line of reasoning, and a line of logic as to the things they do. For example, for an illustration, the average criminal who, when committing crimes, will obviously have reasons, whether it's economic, social, the externalities, etc., and even more so when it is a targeted and premeditated crime towards someone. They have grievances too. Their actions thus are fueled by their grievances with this person. Take for example an illustration: a father of three murders his boss for laying him off and providing him no compensation. His actions then are then made or adapted to a story, for example, a movie, which then blows up online, blows up on social media, and becomes really, really famous. It is still a horrible action that deserves a sentence, but people will still understand that it is a horrible action. That this father's murder of his boss is a horrible action that probably took away a father of someone else's family. But people will now understand why the father did the things that he did, rather than speculate online whether it was the result of some scandal, the result of some mystery action, or like the scandal of some not scandal, sorry, if it's some cult-like behavior, etc., etc. People will no longer speculate, but instead feed into this idea that this father had the things that he did, that this father had justification for the things he did. This understanding, us on the opposition side argues, is instead what will lead people towards what will lead the average person towards developing a more holistic outlook and a more understanding outlook towards most things in life, and most especially the criminal justice system. Onto which my second argument will talk upon regarding the criminal justice system, as the proportion side themselves have painted this picture of this or characterized this criminal justice system as being often manipulated by the court of public opinion. Yes, it is true that the criminal justice system is manipulated by public opinion, and that is what we on the opposition side instead argues is a good thing. As I've stated in my rebuttals before regarding why we believe that people not trusting the criminal justice system is a good thing, by not trusting the criminal justice system fully, people hold the judges and the prosecutors to more scrutiny towards analyzing the cases and evidences more properly, and towards analyzing the justification and the reasoning behind why people or these convicted criminals do the things they did more properly, rather than simply wanting for some prosecutors wanting to boost their ratings and put these criminals into behind bars simply for the sake of their own occupation, or these judges towards wanting to or these judges towards being swayed by one side or the other. And therefore, we on the opposition side are proud to oppose.